Hello and welcome to another episode from Conservative ETF Investor. This is the stock market update. Today's date is September 30th, 2017. I am your host. My name is Ken, and I am going to go over this week's action in the stock market for how we view the stock market. So here we are at our homepage for Conservative ETF Investor. And once this video gets done, I'll upload it here so you can click on it here in order to view it. Our current recommendations for the week of 9/30/17. Our current posture, which is the most important information I want to show you, is that we're on a hold recommendation still for everything because everything is still really strong. This is a very conservative portfolio. And I do have one mutual fund. Everything else is ETFs. The mutual fund being OSTIX. And we'll go through that when we go to the charts. So, okay, on our homepage, you can also just click on current recommendations to see exactly what we're in. By the way, this tells you all the information that you need to know. What the symbol is, and how much of a percentage of your portfolio we are recommending, and when we had our transaction buy date and what the price was at that time, the current closing price, and then profit, loss, and all your information, including dividends. The portfolio beta is a 0.59, which is a very low beta. So that's why it's a very conservative portfolio. Okay, so now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's move on and see how well the portfolio is done. Since our buy recommendations, the portfolio has done 10.9% gain, not including dividends. And for calendar year 2017 only, the portfolio has risen 7.02%. So it's doing pretty well. We are happy with those returns for our very conservative portfolio. Now that we have that, we're going to jump right into the charts. And let's see here. Let's get rid of the inspect mode. The first chart that we want to show you is the S&P 500. So we use the stock charting service, stockcharts.com, which I am a member. And this is the chart for SPY, which is the S&P 500. Our duration of time frame is 5 years. And these charts are weekly charts. So and we use candlesticks. So each one of these bars here in the thumbnail, or if you want to look at it here on the actual chart, like this bar right there, that represents 1 week of data. And the S&P 500 for the week has gained 0.72% for the week, so it was a positive week. You can see that we are trading in pretty much this trend channel and have been for quite some time. Although we're hovering towards the lower end of this trend channel, that's where we are right now. And then here's our buy recommendation at this point right here. Okay, scrolling down, we use two momentum indicators. The first one is the MACD, which is the moving average convergence divergence. You can see that the MACD has bottomed and has since crossed above its signal line. Numerically, you can see that over here at 4.58 compared to the signal line at 4.54. So we are definitely above the signal line. This is a bullish action for the S&P 500, although we do have a negative divergence here, and I'll explain what that is. Here you see, if you take the chart from this point here to this point over here, you see that the S&P 500 has risen. The MACD has declined during that time. That could be referred to as a negative divergence, showing that the market isn't as strong. It is portraying. Here, as an example, you can see here where the MACD was rising and the S&P 500 was rising simultaneously, confirming the trend. Here it's not confirming the trend, so the risks are slightly greater with that aspect. That's for the MACD. The one beneath that is the slow stochastics at default settings. And generally speaking, when it's above its signal line, it's bullish. When it's above 80, it's bullish, and we are both above both of those. And then down here, I just have a dividends section to show when all the dividends happen. So that is it for the S&P 500. Let's move on to the next chart, which is VEU, where we have a 10% allocation. This is the Vanguard All World excluding the United States ETF, and it's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And let's scroll here so we can see the entire chart. Okay, we had a down week. We've lost 0.25% for the week. And here, the pattern is a little bit more complex. We had an upward trading wedge pattern, and then the VEU ETF being so bullish, it actually broke out above that and pretty much stayed above that. And then it had another breakout here and then is now trading in this upward trading wedge pattern, not wedge pattern, that's a trend channel. And then right here, on this action right here, which is the current week, you can see that it actually touched down on that lower support line, bounced up above it, and now is somewhere right about in the middle of that. It's all very, it's a very bullish looking chart. The MACD, you can see that the MACD is above its signal line, but it's kind of just running flat. Whereas during this time frame, the ETF has been going up, again, kind of like a negative divergence, not confirming the trend, similar to the SPY. On the slow stochastics, we are above 80, but it's below its signal line. It's kind of bouncing back and forth. Okay, so that's it for VEU. Let's move on to our next one, which is VNQ. VNQ is the Vanguard REIT, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trust ETF. This particular ETF is paying a dividend yield of 4.75% annually. Not too shabby in this environment for this well-diversified ETF. Had a positive week, gaining 0.21%, and we recommend a 10% allocation into this section of the portfolio. Here you see that we're trading in, let me just scroll that down a little bit. We're trading in this trend channel right here, and there's another line here, which was a declining tops line, but we broke out above that. Once it breaks out above that, then that's line which once was resistance will now act as support. But we did break down through that, but now we've broken up above that again. So it kind of came down, as you can see, that it clearly came down to this lower support line and then just bounced right there above it and is going up. If we can get another week above this line here, which it appears, let's look at our momentum indicators to see if that is going to happen. Okay, the MACD has bottomed and is trying to make its way back up above its signal line. It currently is negative, but if we can get that to come up above 0, then that would be a positive event. The slow stochastics has come all the way down to below 20, which is like an oversold condition, and is since risen above 20, and it's above its signal line. So these are bullish actions looking like it has reached a bottom and is now going to travel back up and at least come up here and test this 84.50 level. If not, go past that and come up towards this upper trend resistance line right there. All right, so that is where we stand. Mind you, at the beginning of the broadcast, I did let you know that we are on hold recommendations across the board for all of our positions, okay? And also we have a 10% cash position, FYI. This is a very conservative portfolio. Let's move on to our next chart. Our next chart is the weekly for OSTIX, which we have, it's not written down here, but I believe it's a 25% portfolio. You can always go back here. Yep, OSTIX 25% position. And you can see that we're just still currently in this nice solid rising pattern. We've had a positive week, gaining 0.26% for the week. This, by the way, pays a nice handsome dividend of 4.64% annually. And you can see that on our dividend exposure, we're getting a 4.64% here with 25% of OSTIX, plus on VNQ, we're getting a 10% of that we're getting a nice dividend of 4.75%. Let's see what the dividend is on VEU. VEU is paying 2.59% at 10%, and then the last one, which is SPY, which we have a 40% allocation, is paying just under 2%. So a good portion of the portfolio is paying a nice handsome dividend, and on this our weakest dividend here, 1.9%, we have a 40% allocation. So we're getting some decent returns on dividends in this portfolio. There's two more charts that I want to show you. Okay, the first one is the VIX. This is a volatility indicator. Now, for this one here, we use, instead of the 5-year time horizon, we use a 1-year time horizon, and we use a daily chart. You can see the word daily right there. So each one of these candlesticks represents one day. I have two indicators here, which is the 50-day exponential moving average and the 200-day. So the red and the blue. The red is the fast. The blue is the fast, and the red is the slow. And here you can see that the 50 is below the 200, and the indicator is below both, indicating that this environment is not volatile. This is a non-volatile environment that the stock market is creating, indicating that there is no red flags right now to show that the S&P is going to take any dramatic drops anytime soon. So that's what this indicator represents. We do use an indicator down here as the MACD. You can see that it's just been trending down, 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 down. And down here I've got a chart of the S&P 500. And when this MACD travels like that and the chart pattern travels like that, the S&P 500 goes up, because this is an inverse indicator. As this goes down, the price of the underlying ETF goes up. Now I also use, let's look at one more indicator, one more chart today, which is the VXN. That's this one. And again, it's a daily chart over a 1-year time horizon, and this is a volatility indicator for the NASDAQ 100. Now here you can see that the NASDAQ 100 is not quite as calm as the S&P, as the VIX. Here, I also have a thumbnail going on here. Here, you can see that the blue faster moving average is pretty much just dead even with the 200, but the indicator is traveling below it, indicating that it will take that faster 50-day, bring that down below it, and get ourselves in a bullish posture. On the MACD, you can see that the MACD has topped and it's below zero and it's traveling back down. These are bullish environments, at least for the next few weeks, for the NASDAQ 100. So I know that that's not one of our, the NASDAQ 100 symbol QQQ is not one of our positions in our portfolio. I still like to watch it because it has an underlying effect on how the overall market is going to do. So that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's broadcast. Again, my name is Ken, and I will see you later.